Clip, clap, clip. Mother Dahlia, I am not above introducing you to the very same Cerestan side splitter that tore your former employer clean in twain, if you do not remove yourself immediately while I'm in such a state. Though, perhaps bearing witness to my bruised and bloodied body would be enough of a punishment. Perhaps if you have endured the same pain that brought my body to be the battered, tainted shape it's in today, you would consider it something of a mercy to be torn apart from head to toe. What other mercy is left in this world than that of the swift angel of death? I'd almost call her my first love. She'd wrap her arms around my neck many a time, but a kiss was always just far too great a distance for her to cross. Besides, a fling is a fling is a fling is a fling. If I can call death a fling, I can just as easily call her a friend. A friend puts a distance to us as much as it does a closeness. And I cannot call her my first love. Not now, not anymore, and never again. Not since. Don't be shy, dear shepherd. The water's fine, nice and warm, and besides, you have a fair weather heart. You're the last person who needs to worry about melting. Besides, the only time I'd be less of a danger to anyone would be while I was asleep. Or dead, but you've already heard my tirade about that. That's the best thing about the company I keep. They rarely seem to want to stay around for very long. Even now, I still wonder whether or not you're going to surprise me. And I'm still coming up snake eyes. Though I understand if you have some other hesitations. Even as your wife, even as our very lives, our very legacies rest on our mutual abilities to convey some sort of affection and love for each other, to show an ease in front of others. I've kept intimacy out of the equation with the exception of when we're forced to in front of an audience. Is this a choice I've made deliberately? I don't know. I truly do not know. I mean, I know what I look like. I have no qualms about it, no matter what you may say about it. I know a lady is not supposed to look like me. A princess is not supposed to look like me. A queen is not supposed to look like me. I've met women who look like me. Women who have the scars that I do, the muscles that I do. The kinds of blisters and calluses that would make the dukes and duchesses of the court shudder to even think of feeling under the surface of silk gloves, and these women think nothing of it. A hand is a hand as much as it is an instrument of violence or a tool of the diligent or idle plaything of demons. And a hand is ultimately made to be held or to hold. Those women realize that. And they are called whores, peasants, adulterers, savages. Every other petty insult under the sun by those who have done nothing in their lives that could deserve the soft and unblemished hands they have. And every single one of those terms could just as easily apply to me. What a world! What a life. Sit at the other side of the tub if you must. Just ignore the ramblings of this pitiful kind of royal pain. I'd sooner call myself a wench for it, I'm sure of it. Call it self-conscious thumb twiddling if it raises your self-esteem, by all means. I live for nothing more than raising you to the same status as I. And does that not mean that every now and again I must stoop to your level? I can't imagine a single thing I could have done in my old life to deserve my hands. I never talk about those days, do I? Not really. I talk about the events of them, the people around them. My father's frivolous spending that caused the public to loathe us, the work of the painter who could somehow love him, if not his gold, continue to work under his employ. The long summers spent at the lake house while my mother was always away to reduce the chances of... Did I never discuss that with you? I could have sworn I said something about that, but I suppose that you've made me quite the monologuist in my time. And to think there was a time I could consider myself as intimidating as the stories that I've heard swirling around the tea rooms. I'd almost call myself an open book with how much I'm willing to tell you. I think you could ask anything of me, and I'd tell you at this point. I don't know why exactly. I don't know why. I mean, if it's always been, then... Dear Shepherd, might I ask you a curious question? What do you think you have done to deserve your hands, your flesh, your bone, your skin? I'm not talking lately. You're not meant to be particularly industrious here. It's not the place for it. Not in the ways that you are used to, at least. Not in the ways I've seen. In the days before the ivory and gold, but the world of grassy farmlands and clay brick houses crafted by hands, of neighbors who smile at you when you enter their line of sight, and well-trod upon dirt roads. Maybe this kind of romance of your life before now is nothing but a fantasy made up by a hereditary government paper pusher who was weaned on a silver spoon before having to cut my teeth on harsher materials, but I still can't help but imagine what your life was like before I got to know you. You don't talk about it. Not in the same way as I don't talk about my life, where I am but an abscess within my own family portrait. You just don't talk about your life before at all. Do you miss it? Does the absence of it make your heart grow fonder? Or are you doing everything to forget a past that you don't want anyone else to remember? I know life outside the castle as well. Not as well as you do, having lived your whole life until now outside of it. But I'm willing to recognize my fantasy of rolling hills of green as just that. I mean, it has to be. I saw your cottage the day I brought you to the castle. For a sheep herder like you, without a dog to help bear that same brunt of the labor, you live awfully close to the forest. Has it ever nipped at your heels too? And even then, have the lambs ever stopped screaming? What became of your flock after you left? Surely you were not the only one in your humble little community who kept a watchful eye towards that same forest. A single eye on that horizon? Or did they cast their eyes blind to the burdens of this world that you carried on your own two shoulders for so long? So that's why, for so long. For so long, I was so certain it was something superficial. A symmetrical face, a rough hand against my silky smooth gloves. Hell, a political tactic to throw all my peers off my back and off their game as they dealt with the PR kerfuffle of the representative of a nation, throwing away all manner of decorum over some out-of-skirts town type with a populace that would never rebel so long as someone like them could speak power to their name. For so long, I had only convinced myself that I was either as shallow as they come or some kind of clinical strategist, but I'm neither one or the other, or both, or neither. Truly, you're just like me. I'd hate to lash out with such an insult, but I see it in your eyes. It's true. For all my talk about political intrigue to get the courts off my case, I never considered that you, yourself, might be running a gambit all the while. All this time. All this time. You may be but a shepherd, but I'm of your flock, and I've only realized now that I'm being fleeced. Clever bastard. You really are just like me. I see that same cunning in your eyes that I see reflected back at me. I can only hope my own vision is so vibrant. What bliss. Draw closer to my side. I'll call Mother Dahlia, the real Mother Dahlia, to refill our bath to see to it that the water is as warm as you'd like. I'd quite like to stay by your side like this for quite some time, and I don't want to pull rank on my dear sweet spouse such as you, dear shepherd. But if you do not let me wash your hair, I'll see to it that this recent side splitter is prepared just for you. Come now, darling. Let me earn my hands. Just for today.